All right. Hello there, everyone. Okay, so let us move on in our lessons here. So far, we have talked about, um, we did our first lesson, which was the fair division game. And then we talked about the divider chooser method. Um, and then our next video was on the lone divider method. And those were all the continuous fair division methods that we're going to talk about. There are a few others, but those are the ones that we're going to stop with for right now, just with time and uh, just in terms of wanting to be able to move on to. So, the next, in terms of fair division, we're going to talk about is, now we call this method discrete. And what we mean by that is a discrete fair division versus a continuous fair division. Think about everything that we've done so far, whether it be, if you think about everything we've done, we've talked about cutting a sandwich or cutting a cake or cutting a piece of pizza. If you think about all those things that we've talked about so far, can be cut in a infinitely many different ways. If you really think about it, we could cut those things up in a lot of different ways. And that's what makes those what we call continuous. So today we're going to start talking about discrete fair division. And what we mean by that is, I guess the example they often use is, let's say that someone in our family has passed away and has left us some things, left maybe us and our siblings some things in which to split up. Now, cash is a real easy thing, right? What are you going to do if somebody leaves you $10,000 and you need to split that between three people? What are you going to do? Well, you're just going to divide the money by three and you each get that much money, correct? But the problem here is, what if our loved one left us a house or left us a car? Can I cut a car into three pieces and say, okay, you get this little piece of the car, and you get this little piece of the car, and you get this little piece? No, nobody would want that. Because if you cut a car into three pieces, then the car doesn't work anymore. Same thing with a house. Our loved one has left us this house. Once again, I can't just go with a saw and saw this house up into three pieces. Or it doesn't make any sense for me to say, okay, I'm going to live in the bedroom, you get the living room, and you get the kitchen. And nobody can go in those areas but me, or whatever piece I own. That doesn't make sense either. So what we need to do is figure out a way, how can we break up these items in what we think is a fair method? Once again, this whole unit is all about fair division. All right. And so the first method that we're going to talk about with this is what we call the method of sealed bids. Method of sealed bids. All right, so first things first, there are some conditions that we have before we can even do this. And one, those conditions is, each player must have enough money to play the game. Okay? So if a player is going to make an honest bid on items, he or she must be prepared to buy some or all of them, which means that they're going to have some kind of money. Okay? And I know that sounds weird, but, once again, because let's say we're trying to break up a house and divide it amongst three people, somebody's going to get that house, but in turn, they're going to have to turn around and pay the other two people. So they are going to have some kind of money. And the other condition is that each player must accept money, if it is a significantly large amount, as a substitute for any item. So the risk that you play here with sealed bids is, let's say, you have to be willing that if you don't get the house, you don't get the house. All right. So those are the conditions that you have to be able to use the methods of fair bids or sealed bids. Okay. You have to have money to be able to play, and you have to be willing to set money if you don't get the item that has been left to you. Okay, so the first part then is here's the method, and once you get started, it actually is not too bad. It's relatively easy, but let's talk about it. So the first part, the method, is the bidding part. Okay, so each player bids for each item honestly. So once again, if it's the car, let's say we've been left a car, then you're going to put what you think that car is worth. Now this is the catch here, because let's say you really want the car, then you might need to bid a little higher on the car, but understand, somebody can outbid you, so that's part of it. But you're going to bid, and you're going to do it honestly, because you're not going to want to sit there and say, because that's going to affect, honestly, how much money you're going to get in the long run. So if you overbid on something and then you end up getting that item, it's actually probably going to cost you more. So you want to, when you do your bidding, you want to give an honest bid. Okay? If it's a $10,000 a car, it's a $10,000 car. You don't want to, even if it's a $10,000 car, say it's worth $20,000, because you might end up getting the car, which is maybe what you wanted, but it is going to affect your fair share of how everything works. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing. And the reason we call it the method of sealed bids is because we're going to assume that nobody else knows what you are bidding on anything. Okay, that's why they are sealed, like in an envelope. You say, I would spend this for this car or the house or whatever, and you put it in an envelope and you seal it up so nobody else can see it until it's time to divvy everything out. All right. And then once you do your bidding, we're going to allocate everything. And basically, each item will go to the highest bidder. Okay? So whoever bids the highest on whatever the item is, they get that item. Okay? All right? And then we're going to settle. So players either owe or are owed money by the estate based on the items that are allocated. And so, and we're going to show you how we get there. Now, these are just some words. If your fair share greater than the value of the player's allocated items, then you're going to get money. And if the fair share dollar amount is less than the value of the player's allotted item, you're going to owe money, okay, or pay money. And each player plays or gets difference of their fair share and total item value. All right, and we'll talk about that. The best thing to do on this one is to look at an example. And so we're going to basically kind of do that. And I think it'll tie into some of these other words that we're going to use here in just a moment. Okay, so and then once we do that, if there's any surplus, not that there may not be, but if there is a surplus, surplus money is divided by evenly among all players. Okay, so if there were 3 of us in this example that we're about to do, Andre, B, and Chad, there's 3 of us. So if there is any surplus, we would divide it by 3 and give that evenly to everyone. All right, so let's take a look at an example. All right, so in our first example, just like the under number 3, the fair dollar share, that's the first thing we need to figure out. All right, so we need to figure out what our Well, okay. So step one, we have the bidding. Okay. So we have a house, a farm, and a painting. Okay. And there are three of us. So we ask everybody what they think the house, what they think the farm, and what they think the painting is going to be worth. And they write their bids down and they seal them in an envelope. And now our lawyer is going to go through those and figure out who gets what. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to decide who gets which item. So if you, and this once again, like we said earlier, each item will go to the highest bidder on that item. So the house, we got 150, we got 146, and we got 175. So Chad is going to get the house. Okay. Now we have the farm, 430, we got 425, and we got 428. So Andre is going to get the farm. And then the painting, we got 50,000 here, we got 59 here, and we got 57 here. So B is going to get the $59,000 painting. Okay, so we bid, we've allocated and given everybody, we figured out who gets each thing, okay? But now, once again, you can't just sit there and say, oh, well, they got the farm, they got the picture, and they got the house, because, I mean, the farm, even to B, the farm was worth $425,000. So is it fair that she would just get $59,000 and call it a day? No. So now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what everyone's fair share is. So that's where we get the fair dollar share. All right, so we're going to do 150 plus 43, 150,000, 430,000 plus 50,000. Okay, and then we're going to divide that by 3. So Andre's fair share is $210,000. That's what he thinks everybody should get, is $210,000. He feels like that is fair. Everybody would get an even cut. Okay? Now, same thing. But now B's fair share might be different than Andre's. So we're going to see what B's fair share is. And then same thing with Chad. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add, and then we're going to divide by 3. And let's see what we get there. All right, so we did the same thing. We added, divided by 3, and we got 210,000 for B. We added, divided by 3, and we got 220,000 for Chad. Okay, this is what everybody feels like would be their fair share. They feel like Andre thinks if he got 210,000, he got his fair share. B thinks if she got $210,000 worth of stuff, that B got the fair share. And if Chad got $220,000, he would think everybody got their fair share. All right, so now we need to allocate the items that they got. So once again, we said that Andre got the farm, which was worth $430,000 to him. Okay. B got the painting, which was worth $59,000 to her. And Chad got the house, which was worth $175,000 to him. Okay. And that's what we have so far. Now we need to figure out, do they owe money or do they get money? So I'm going to do the fair dollar share, subtract the item that they got, and if it's a negative, they're going to owe money. If it's a positive, they're going to get money. And we are going to do that right here.